Hey everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 11, Episode 3, Sutton's Gotta Give. Oh boy. Well, let me just say that Lake Tahoe is proving to be just as magical as Kyle said it would be. In the last episode, we left off with Crystal wondering if Sutton was that girl, the one that says she doesn't see color. And we were left with a little bit of a cliffhanger because we didn't know how Sutton was going to respond. Let's just say that the Chiron is telling us that it's 11:45 p.m. and I'm thinking Sutton should have just gone to bed. She's tearing up and she says, I really don't see color. I don't see race. I don't do it. Now, it isn't that I don't understand Sutton, because I do. In her mind, it means I'm not judging anybody as being better or worse than anybody else. However, Crystal explains in her confessional, a white person saying they don't see color is really just kind of sweeping it under the rug. And it also makes it glaringly obvious that that is easy for a white person to say. Sutton says that the word racist is like a virus to her, worse than COVID. To even get into this upsets me. And then Kyle, another white woman, said, that's how I feel too. I literally have laid in bed at night and thought about my conversation with Garcelle. I'm sorry. If you're wondering what Crystal is thinking of that right now, this is what her face looks like. Sutton's like, yes, you were trying to hurt Garcelle as a person, not as a race. Side note, guys, I am like squirming as I watch two white ladies talk about how upsetting the topic of racism is to them in front of a woman of color. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. And the one in actual tears about how painful it is to her is my sweet, sweet Sutton. I know you guys are ahead of me. Am I going to have a problem with my sweet, sweet Sutton? Honestly, guys, I am speechless. Sutton says, I'm so emotional. Let's just not do it. Crystal said, race exists. I'm proud of my race. You're thinking of race as eye color, hair. Sutton, I'm not thinking about race. Crystal, but deeper, like, do you want to know about me, about my culture, about my ancestry? Sutton says, of course I do. Kyle, now trying to explain it to the woman of color. When she says, I don't see color, it means I see us all equally. Well, Confession Cam Crystal strikes again. She says, I think the generation above me were taught to be colorblind. And Sutton's 20 years older than me. And then under Sutton it says 12 years older than Crystal. 20 years older than me. But you know what she's not wrong about? My generation genuinely believed that was the right way to do it. I'm not going to give you special treatment or worse treatment. I will treat you just as I treat anybody else. And equality, and that's what we really want. You know, it's not until recently, and probably thankfully to the Black Lives Matter movement, it made you look at it deeper and go, oh, okay. In its most simplest terms, to say I don't see color makes people of color feel unseen. But what I believe that means is that you're acting like you can treat everyone equal as if they are all starting off on an even playing field. And that's just not true. Not in America, anyway. It's not good enough to say you don't see color. You have to see the differences. You have to understand that your Black neighbors and friends and coworkers have a very different experience in this country than you do as a white person. If you just think that everyone's experience is the same and that everyone should be treated equally, then you're going to do what Kyle did. And that is call out Garcelle on national TV for skipping out on a bill because you don't recognize what that might do to Garcelle or how that might make Garcelle feel as a Black woman. And then you're just going to plead ignorance. Oh, I didn't mean it that way. I'm sorry. I would have said that to anyone. I wasn't trying to hurt you because of your race. I wasn't even thinking about your race. And that's the point. You weren't even thinking about it. And my understanding is that's what's wrong with I don't see color. And I think what Crystal was saying was, every Sutton out there who says I don't see color is missing an opportunity to learn more about somebody else with a different ancestry, culture, all the things that would enrich your life, And side note, let me just get this out of the way right from the beginning. No, I don't hate myself. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm not afraid I'm going to be canceled or trying to be woke. I don't hate myself. I don't hate my white skin. Well, summer's coming. Do I wish I had a golden bronze tan instead of this Elmhurst white? Of course, I'm not a freak. But what I can do is listen to others, listen to Black people, listen to people of color. Take it in, try to do better, and I can even recognize my own white privilege without hating myself. Believing Black Lives Matter doesn't have to mean that I hate my own race. And that is all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, everyone gets quiet, and Kyle says to Crystal, "Penny for your thoughts." And Crystal said, yeah, I guess we can just agree to disagree. And Sutton said, "What are we disagreeing on, though?" Kyle, "I think with you two, even though you both have good intentions, you just can't see eye to eye." You're not out of this conversation, Kyle. Now she's just going to put the whole thing on Sutton. Anyway, they just decide, Crystal says it's late, and they all just decide to go to bed, thankfully. Okay, it is the next morning. There are phone calls home to the kids. Sutton's in the kitchen. Garcelle comes in. Sutton tells her they stayed up late last night. Side note, breakfast looks delish. More of the ladies walk in, and Sutton says, "Kathy came into my room last night with her fan and 8 pillows." Kathy. What a treasure. Rena goes, "Why?" We get a flashback to 12:22 a.m. Kathy outside of Sutton's door with, yes, an armload of pillows and her fan. Sutton goes, "I'm naked." Kathy, "I just wanted to check on you." Why? Back to the ladies. And Kyle says, "She got in bed with me." And I was like, no. Then I hear a potato chip bag crumpling. Oh, flashback, 12:52 a.m. Kathy in Kyle's bed, sitting up with her iPad and a bag of chips. Then at 1:05 a.m., you hear, she cracked open a can of Red Bull. Kyle goes, "Kathy, are you out of your mind?" Kathy, "Why? What is it?" And Kyle goes, "A Red Bull." Kathy, "I thought you said it was just a soft drink." Oh my God. It's not over. 1:35 a.m. Kathy still in Kyle's bed, sitting up and just kind of thumbing through a newspaper. Oh my God, don't ever change, Kathy Hilton. All right, so the ladies talk about what they're going to do that day. And Lisa Rinna said, "We're going to ride bikes on a railroad track." Then Crystal walks in, and Sutton gets kind of a weird look on her face. Garcelle's not thrilled about riding this bike thing. So she said, "I would be very happy to just stay here and watch TV." And Kyle said, "What are you watching right now?" Garcelle said, "Oh, probably something on CNN because we're so close now." So yes, this is the same time period. I think I mentioned this before, or maybe I mentioned it on New York, but this is kind of the same time period that the New York ladies are filming. We are right around November 2020 and the election. Oh, yay, we get a political discussion on this show too. I cannot avoid this stuff. They talk about the election coming up. Someone asks, "What do you think is going to happen?" Erica, "Biden and Harris will win, and that'll be the end of it." Rinna then gives her insight into Donald Trump because she's been on The Apprentice twice. She said he was very professional. He was never horrible to her. She said that the person that he's become is very different than the person he was when she met him on The Apprentice. So the only woman not having breakfast right now is, you guessed it, Kathy Hilton, who probably just got to sleep a half hour ago. Kyle goes in to check on her and see if she's awake. It's only 9:37 a.m. though, so Of course she's not awake. So the ladies go off to get ready to go to this bike riding thing. And they all have to leave at 11 a.m. It's so pretty here, you guys, in Lake Tahoe. I'm not sure what picture I'm going to use for my background, but I have a lot to choose from. Actually, I guess when you're watching this, you already know, because I picked this one. Isn't it beautiful, though? Love it. Okay, so now Sutton heads to Crystal's room because she would like to talk to her before the rush of the day. And Crystal said, yeah, I know last night was a lot. Anyway, Sutton starts off and she said, I'm not quite sure why I reacted that way. I just don't want you to think that I'm not sensitive to another culture or another race. And Crystal said, no, listen, I believe that you really do see everyone as equal. Sutton, I do. What really set me off was when you said, are you that girl? The girl who says she doesn't see color. It was insulting. And Crystal said, but people say that to me all the time. I don't see color. But saying, you're that girl, that wasn't very nice. Crystal, she said, when you say I don't see color, that's very confusing to me because, you look at a box of crayons and you see the colors. I have friends who say to me, I don't see you as Asian, I just see you as my friend. And I'm thinking, well, I see you as white and I see you as black. I see color. It actually ends with Crystal apologizing to Sutton for saying, you're that girl. But she does say that she's been on the other side of racism and she's been attacked. In her confessional, she recalls being like 10 or 11 years old and sitting in the back seat of the car when her dad stopped to get gas. And this man pulled up right next to them and started screaming at her dad to get out of this country. And you're stealing all our money. She's actually tearing up because when her dad got back in the car, he never said anything to her about it, and they never spoke about it. She had never seen her dad scared before. And, that's huge, especially when you're about 10 or 11 years old. You need your parents to be a rock. You need nothing to scare them because they're your protectors, So, yeah, that was tough. So Sutton says, I apologize to you if I offended you or made you feel angry at me for crying. I didn't mean to do that. She relays a story to Crystal about when she was 25 years old and living in New York, and she was in an elevator with a man who heard her accent and said, are you from the South? Are you a racist? And Crystal said, okay, so you're on your guard about that. And Sutton said, yeah. Crystal just said, it's a big topic. I appreciate you coming in here to talk to me. So they're cool. For now. Actually, they hug. And here's the surprise. Not only is Sutton not a hugger, but Crystal is. I might be wrong about Crystal. I feel like she's cold and snarky, and I don't know, maybe I'm not being fair based on just her diary room conversations, but you know what? It's still very, very early. This is only episode 3. It takes me a lot longer to form a real opinion about someone. I do have gut reactions, and those sometimes are very wrong, so I'm just gonna hold off on her for a little bit. Okay, so now it's 11 o'clock and everybody is dressed, has their coats on, and they're heading out the door. Kathy is still sleeping, though. Kyle goes into her room and she goes, we're going to go ride bikes. Do you want to come with or do you want to stay here and rest? Kathy, leave me alone. All right, so the ladies are taking 2 vans and Garcelle calls out and she goes, Crystal Gale, I'm coming with you. And Crystal goes, do you know that that's who I'm named after? Crystal Gale and Crystal Carrington from Dynasty. So now they're in their 2 vans, and in the van with Crystal and Garcelle, it's Sutton. And Garcelle said, I think I might pull a Kathy Hilton tomorrow and just stay back and sleep in. Crystal's telling Garcelle and Sutton about Kathy and how she's a real prankster. The other van has the core 4. Kyle, Dorit, Erica, and Rinna. They're just all chatting. Kyle has to go to the bathroom. Erica looks out the window and she says, Gardnerville. Gardnerville has the most fugitives in America. And Lisa goes, how do you know that? Erica, because somebody told me that. Because because you're used to what? What were you going to say? This is very much like the two truths and a lie game. Erica says something and then backs off from it. I mean, I think I know why. For everyone out there who subscribes to Hulu, I highly recommend watching The Housewife and the Hustler. It is the story of the legal troubles that they're having. It will probably change your opinion of Erica, but it will definitely change your opinion of Tom, unfortunately. Okay, so now they're riding these like 4-person, they look more like go-karts, but I guess they're bikes because you're pedaling. All 4 people are pedaling. They're like on the train track. Surprise, surprise, it is not the core 4 in one of them because Dorit wants to go fast and Kyle wants to go slow. So those 2 are definitely separated. So it is just Kyle with Garcelle and Sutton, who also would like to go slow and don't really want to do this at all, I don't think. And the other one, Dorit is the driver, and she's got Crystal next to her, and then Rinna and Erica are in the back. This is a little boring. The fast girls are having fun. The slow girls, not so much. Sutton's like, I think you're going too fast. We don't have to catch up to them. And Kyle goes, well, but we can't even see them. And the other one, Dorit's like, are you guys game for me not hitting the brake when we go downhill? And they're like, yeah, don't do it. Keep going. Anyway, like I said, all in all, a bit anticlimactic. Both carts meet back at the start, and then they just get in the vans and head back to the house. It feels like it was a pretty long drive just for that. Like, at least they could have had a lunch set up or something. So in the van with Garcelle, Sutton, and Crystal, Garcelle lays down in the far back seat to take a nap, and it's just Crystal and Sutton again. Crystal asks Sutton if her parents were born in Augusta, and she said no, her dad was born in Texas, her mom was born in Charleston. And then she goes, she's a piece of work, my mom. Crystal goes, is she? I used to think that about my mom too, but when my dad passed away, she just calmed down so much. Sutton, oh, when did your dad pass? And Crystal said, about 3.5 years ago. He had Alzheimer's. Sutton goes, well, it took my mom a long time to settle. Well, my dad committed suicide. And Crystal goes, oh, I'm so sorry. Sutton goes, I know. Well, and she's a psychotherapist, so it's a tricky situation. We see a picture of Sutton with her dad. She said he was mentally ill. He suffered from depression his whole life. So they get back to the house, and Kathy is awake now, but has accidentally put eardrops in her eyes. Yeah. Kathy, but just a little bit, I'm fine. So Garcelle, Sutton, Lisa, and Erica are sitting outside. Garcelle asks what time dinner is, and Lisa said, well, we have to be in the van by 6:30. Sutton said, I hope it's not another hour in the car. Garcelle, you're like a princess with a pea under the mattress. Erica, I'm easygoing, believe it or not. Rinna, you are? Garcelle, you know why I think you are, Erica? Because you don't give a shit. Erica said, I'm just really content to let people be who they are. Because I like to be myself. It's one of the things I love about Tom the most, because he lets me be myself. Yeah, and he uses other people's money to do it. Allegedly. I mean, this documentary is bad. It's bad. They interviewed victims of terrible tragedies. The one family, their son was in a pipeline explosion that blew up their house. He was sitting on the couch with his girlfriend, and the house blew up. His girlfriend died, and he's had like 20 surgeries, skin grafts, and he still has more to go. Now he's covered in scar tissue, and in any case, Tom was the attorney in this big, class action lawsuit, and this family was to get millions of dollars, which, as the guy pointed out, the boy, well, he's a man now. I think he was 18 at the time. As he pointed out, he needs for surgery. It isn't just, now my life can be cushy because something bad happened to me. He needs that money because he is not done with all the surgeries he needs. But it's gone. There was a deposition, like a video deposition, and Tom is saying there was $50 million. That's gone. He's talking about all this money that, I don't know. The mom of that boy is like, it's like it's gone, like he's broke, because they never saw a penny. And there was another woman who had like a botched surgery. She was supposed to get like $137,000, never saw a dime. And other people too. And it's not going to be good. It's so like, I don't know, just the juxtaposition of this guy with scar tissue and burns over most of his body, not seeing the money he needs for surgery, yet he can flip on the TV and watch Erica Jane with her glam squad and all her clothes, spending $40,000 a month. And I mean, how infuriating would that be? Plus, there are voice recordings of Tom Girardi calling these families and leaving messages like, "Are you mad at me? Don't be mad at me. I'm a good guy." Ew. That's so gross and despicable. You know, at the end of this whole thing, I don't know for sure what Erica knew or didn't know. I really don't. Because I could actually see this being a situation where he loves his wife and he wants to please her and give her, you know, the moon if he could. And maybe he just got himself in really, really deep and really bad because he wants to fund her lifestyle. And maybe she didn't know, or maybe she kind of, I don't know. I'm just saying I came away from that documentary and it really was unclear to me how much Erica knew. Okay, so now Kyle comes out onto the balcony or whatever it is where they're sitting, and she sees Sutton's got these big furry slippers and they look like teddy bears. And she goes, "Oh, where did you get those? I want to get them for my kids for Christmas and Hanukkah." Kyle looks at the tag and she goes, "Oh, Vetements?" And I think it was Lisa Rinna that said, "Oh, they're Vetements. They're expensive." Sutton, it's something that should not be discussed, how much these slippers cost. Garcelle, I want to know. Kyle, I'm Googling it right now. And then you just hear Kyle go, "Holy shit, they're a couple grand." Garcelle, "They're $2,000? Sutton, don't judge. Garcelle, "I'm judging." Crystal starts laughing. She's out there now too. She goes, "No offense, but I donate things that look like that all the time." All the ladies are like out there now. So Dorit, Erica, and Lisa go into the house to take a nap and lie down for a little while before dinner. Now it's just Garcelle, Sutton, Kathy, and Kyle sitting outside. Kyle's talking about her hair color. And then she said, "Yeah, I mean, my hair was never as blonde as Kim and Kathy's when we were growing up. I always had like sort of dirty blonde hair. But then as I got older, it grew darker and darker." And Garcelle said, "You look like you should be a brunette." Kyle's like, "Yeah, genetics are so weird. I mean, like Paris and I and Sophia have exactly the same shape, face, and bone structure as my mom. If you put a dark wig on Paris, we look exactly alike." In Garcelle's confessional, she laughs because she goes, "Well, Kathy Hilton thinks I look like Kyle. Kyle thinks she looks like Paris, so I guess I look like Paris Hilton." Then Garcelle tells them, "I think I told you this before, but Paris came on to The Real, the talk show that Garcelle is one of the hosts of. And she's sort of using her real voice now. So when we were like, 'Hey, Paris,' and she goes, 'Hi.'" I was like, who is that? Kathy said, "I think she's more confident now. She's more at peace." Side note, Kathy's wearing the same t-shirt from last night. Love you. Garcelle said, "Well, that's good. She used to drive me nuts. I used to see her when I was modeling. I used to see her at fashion shows and parties, and she was always on her phone. I was always wondering, why are you even here?" Kathy goes, "You know why? You tell her, Kyle. Tell her." And Kyle said that Paris was so uncomfortably shy that phone was almost like a prop for her. And Garcelle said, "Really? Huh, well, I'm glad I said something, and I'm glad you guys told me that, because I would never have known that. I would never have thought that." Okay, now we're getting ready to go out to dinner montage. Kathy's like, "What should I wear?" Kyle said, "Well, I'm wearing camel leather pants and a camel coat." Dorit's in her room now, too, and she goes in Kathy's closet, and she pulls out this red furry coat, and she said, "I like this." Kathy, you want to laugh? Always. I am always up for one of your stories, Kathy. What are you going to say now? She says, Ask me whose jacket that is. Kyle. Paris's? Kyle, stop. We know Paris Hilton is your niece. You can stop reminding us of that every second. Anyway, Kathy's answer. I have no idea. Somebody left that coat at my house after a party. Of course. Kathy Hilton, going on a girls' trip, would bring that coat. Oh my God, I love it. Oh God. Okay, so Rinna and Garcelle are the first two that are ready, and we get another little awkward scene of the two of them alone with each other. This is their conversation. Rinna's like, isn't the weather pretty? Garcelle, oh yeah, it's really just so good. Rinna, really? Garcelle, so good. Then Rinna looks up at the ceiling. That's quite a beam. Garcelle, yeah, quite a beam. All right, so now the ladies all head into the restaurant and they sit down. Side note, I'm sorry, this is the dumbest thing. I guess because of COVID restrictions, maybe you can't have a party of 8 or however many there are. But they have 3 separate tables that are, they look like they're about a foot apart from each other. I get COVID protocol. I understand the reason for that. But don't be stupid about it. When you know for a fact that all these ladies just came from the same house, they have all been tested, they don't have COVID. They can sit together. And honestly, if you pushed all those tables together, you would be keeping them further away from everybody else in the restaurant. So when stupid things like this happen, it kind of drives me crazy. Oh, well, of course, Kathy can't hear everybody at the other end of the table. So Kyle suggests that they switch. And she's like, and then we can switch back and forth. So Kathy's at one end and Erica's at the other. So they switch seats so that Kathy is right next to Kyle. Kyle said, even though she's my older sister, Kathy's never been on a girls' trip. And I guess I just feel very protective of her. Kathy gives a toast to Lisa Rinna for planning this beautiful girls' weekend. Good God, it's only a weekend? They have so much luggage. Kyle had to bring an espresso machine. Anyway, at the other end of the table, Erica announces that she is going to eat tonight, and she's hungry. I love that the women from Beverly Hills go out to a restaurant, and there is still a question of whether they're going to eat or not. Yep, I'm going to eat tonight. Anyway, Sutton said, during COVID, I was just snacking like crazy. Erica, I hit up every drive-thru. Tom brought home Morton's every night for like 3 months. I was like, honey, you've got to stop. Okay, I hope Morton's isn't expensive because we have a Morton's here in Chicago and it's not cheap. I don't know what it was, but that was bad. If you knew people watched that documentary, Erica. Okay, so Lisa talks about her lip kit, Rinna Beauty, and how, that was supposed to launch and then COVID pushed things back and all that kind of thing. Sutton then says, I wish we were all together because Crystal and I had a little situation, and I guess she wanted to talk about it with everybody. But because the tables were spaced apart, it was very difficult to hear. And at the end where Kyle, Kathy, and Garcelle are, Sutton, Rinna, and Erica could never hear them because that was far away. So Rinna said, yeah, what happened last night? Sutton said, me, Crystal, and Kyle were talking, and all of a sudden it becomes a rice conversation. And I got really upset. Rinna and Erica, why? Sutton, I don't know. I think being Southern, and Erica said, it's a sensitive thing. Sutton says to Erica, but don't you think being Southern girls, you and I, we get defensive, almost like we have to prove that we're not racist? Erica, no. In her confessional, she said, growing up in the South, I've seen and heard a lot of racist things, but I never feel like someone would think I was racist. So Dorit, who is on the other side of Sutton, said, does somebody make you feel that way? And Sutton goes, no, Dorit, because for me, I feel like I'm a child of the world. I don't look at it like everyone from the South. Dorit, in her confessional, the one where she looks like a mermaid, she says, because I've lived all over the world, Italy, all over Asia. I couldn't even name all the countries in one sitting. I could mention the countries I've not been in easier. That I'm not even really aware that people would assume someone from the South was racist. It's kind of the first time I've heard that. So Sutton said, maybe it's all in my head. Dorit goes, I was just going to say, because you have a very thick Southern accent, so it's very clear you're from the South. Because I've never gotten that from you, E. I guess we call Erica E. You have less of a Southern accent. I mean, it comes out every once in a while. But you also spent the majority of your life in New York City and Los Angeles. Maybe it's because you've been in a world that's very multicultural. Which is, I think, the excuse she uses for her own accent, as she is from Connecticut. And just for the record, that is not how all people from Connecticut speak. Or any. Sutton, well, that's not fair. Now, hold on. I've been in a world that's very multicultural, just so we're clear. In Sutton's confessional, she said, I've lived in New York, I've lived in London, I've lived in LA, I've lived in Paris. Dorit, oh, I wasn't suggesting that you weren't. Sutton's like, I'm not from some hick town I just left 3 days ago. Dorit's like backpedaling, saying that she wasn't trying to offend Sutton. She was just trying to figure out why Erica didn't have the same experience that Sutton had. Then she says to Sutton, I wasn't trying to... Sometimes you're very quick to... I wasn't trying to insult you. Erica said, no, I don't think Dorit was trying to deliberately dig at you. But Sutton is already getting misty-eyed. Guys, what is wrong with my sweet, sweet Sutton? Maybe something is actually going on that's causing all this. Crystal now, who is directly across from Dorit, and she can hear this and she knows what's going on, says to Dorit, oh my God, just have a fucking conversation. Be fucking normal, you know what I mean? It's so intense. Kyle goes, what happened? Dorit now leans way over, away from Sutton and toward Kyle. And she's like, I can't hear you. This is so painful, Kyle. And Kyle goes, what happened to you guys? Now, Crystal can hear because Crystal's kind of right next to Kyle. And this is in the other direction from where Sutton is sitting. She goes, to Dorit, she can't hear you. So Dorit, Kyle, and Garcelle are all leaning in while Dorit fills them in on what was going on with Sutton. Garcelle says she can be so touchy. In her confessional, she thinks something's going on with Sutton too. She's she's very fragile right now. Things are just hitting her a little too hard. And I mean, she really wasn't like that last year, was she? Oh, maybe a little. Let the mouse go. I guess. I still love her. I mean, I'm having some issues with her this year, but again, if I'm going to give Crystal the benefit of the doubt, I am going to give Sutton a chance to get out of whatever is happening to her right now. It's only episode 3, right? Well, Kathy Hilton to the rescue, guys. Of course. She is the gift that keeps on giving. She is single-handedly pulling this show out of despair and into the fun zone because Kathy has had 2 martinis and now she says it's time for bottoms up. Dorit, bottoms up? Okay. So in Kathy's confessional, she said, it's a girls' trip, which, according to Kyle, Kathy has never been on before. And we're going to have fun tonight, and anyone that isn't can watch us. Okay. Well, Dorit and Kathy down their martinis while the others are just marveling at them. Kathy goes, let's wait a minute, and then we'll do another one. Maybe get Lisa to do it, too. Crystal's like, I am totally turned on right now. Another bottoms up. And Erica's looking at Dorit. Do you know how bad you're going to feel tonight? And Dorit goes, Erica, what did you get? Erica is texting on her phone. And then next thing you know, it's bottoms up round 2. And Kathy and Dorit have gotten Erica and Rinna to join them. Quick question, did Kyle leave? I feel like we haven't heard from her or seen her in a while. In Kathy's confessional, the producer said, you chugged 2 martinis in a row. How are you still standing? Kathy, it's just water. Rewind the tape to 17 minutes earlier. Kathy whispers to Garcelle, we have to do one of those games where we pretend having martinis. Then we see Kathy order water with olives. Make it look like a martini. She texts Dorit. Dorit is in on it. Dorit texts Erica. Then you see Dorit go, Erica, do you have your phone in your bag? And she said, yeah. And she goes, are you sure it's there? So Erica checks her phone, sees the text from Dorit, and just like nods her head. Then Erica quietly tells Rinna to check her phone. Erica has texted Rinna. Rinna does, and she starts laughing. And I'm thinking, okay, if everyone is in on this, who are they pranking? Just the girls who aren't drinking? I'm not sure I get it. But what is happening is that my very fragile and paranoid sweet, sweet Sutton is observing all these women looking at their phones, smiling, and it is as if everyone is in on some kind of a joke that Sutton is not in on. Oh, okay. So in her confessional, Dorit said that she wanted the prank to have another level of prankiness by pranking the prankster. So she told Erica, and Erica told Lisa, and they got water too. But now Kathy doesn't know that they're drinking water. Garcelle goes, Sutton, will you do a bottoms up? Sutton's like, no, ma'am. Then she said, thank you for supper, Lisa. It was lovely. Lisa said, you're welcome. And Sutton's like, I am ready for night-night. So everyone gets up and heads to the vans. So Kathy, Sutton, Garcelle, and Crystal are in the one van, and the core four are in the other. Sutton's like, I am tired. Garcelle goes, wait, you didn't have a martini? And Sutton said, no, I could tell there was a joke going on. Garcelle goes, don't cry. And Sutton said, I'm not going to cry. That reminds me of New Jersey. When Melissa and Margaret kept saying, and you made her cry. She's fragile. And Jackie's like, I'm not crying. I'm fine. I'm not going to cry. Oh, although in this case, Sutton is about to cry. But Garcelle goes, oh, okay. Sutton, when I'm not in on the joke, it freaks me out. Okay. I mean, I could see feeling left out, kind of having a FOMO situation, but freaking out about it? I mean, maybe thinking that she's the brunt of it? I don't know. I should also say that Crystal is in the far back seat with Sutton, and then the middle row is Kathy Hilton and Garcelle. So Crystal says to Sutton, but weren't you in on the joke on your side of the table? That they were drinking water? And Sutton goes, I didn't know they were drinking water. Garcelle, it was hilarious. Kathy, yeah, I know. Then Crystal whispers to Sutton. In Sutton's confessional, she said, Crystal kicked me in the leg because she doesn't want Kathy to know that she was the brunt of the joke. But also it hurt because my legs are very thin. They are actually. So Garcelle says to Sutton, why are you paranoid? It has nothing to do with you. It was just for fun. Sutton, I don't like when people text each other under the table. Kathy, when did I text somebody under the table? Not you, Kathy. Sutton, I'm telling you about my experience on my side of the table. Garcelle goes, well, if it affected you so much, you should have said guys. And Sutton goes, it didn't affect me so much. Garcelle goes, well, you're bringing it up, so it affected you. But now both of the vans reach the house, and everyone's getting out. And Sutton walks past the core four and either has a look on her face or she's crying. I don't know. But Kyle and Dorit both say, what happened? What's wrong? Sutton, nothing. I'm going to bed. Garcelle, were you guys texting under the table about Sutton? Kyle, no. Dorit, I swear on my mother's life I would never do that. Kyle grabs Sutton now because she's trying to leave and go to bed. Sutton says to Garcelle, why did you have to tell them? Garcelle, because I wanted you to know they weren't doing that. Sutton, I didn't want to talk about it, Garcelle. Now Crystal is like whispering to Kathy, this girl has lost her mind. Why is everything about her? Now all 8 of the women are standing around. Dorit, someone asks, what was Sutton upset about? Sutton goes, I was just feeling left out. There was a practical joke. Be honest, Crystal. And Garcelle goes, there was a joke, but she has nothing to do with it, pointing to Crystal. Sutton, you kicked me. God. I mean, I'm thinking she like nudged her with her toe to get her attention. Crystal, no. I kicked you because I didn't want you to ruin the joke. Dude, you're so uptight. Relax. Garcelle, Sutton, you have to let things go. Sutton's like, I am a grown woman. And Kyle goes, then act like one. Sutton wants to go to bed, but Kyle will not let her. We're going to talk this thing out. So everyone is now sitting on the couches in the main room. Sutton goes, there was a joke happening at the table. Am I right? Everyone nods. And she goes, who was in on the joke? Raise your hand. A bunch of people do, but sort of reluctantly. And Garcelle said, hold on. We were in on the joke. Kyle didn't know. She points to Crystal, the detective here, figured it out. So Crystal wasn't in on the joke either, Garcelle said. But then toward the end of the dinner, we found out that you guys were doing your own thing. We didn't know. And Crystal goes, yes, they were punking each other. I go to Garcelle, oh my God, the girls are drinking water. And Garcelle said, Kathy's drinking water. So they kind of laughed about it when they realized that nobody was having a real martini. And then Erica says, when she saw Dorit do the first one, she thought, oh my God, because at that time, nobody was in on it. And then Dorit texted her and said, this is funny. Do you want in on it? And that's what happened. The next round, those two ordered water as well. Crystal said, so in the car, I didn't want Kathy to know that those girls were punking her, and that's why I kicked you. You lost your mind about it. Sutton, I have never had a friend go, don't tell her. I've never had that happen before. Well, Sutton, that was your opportunity to be in on one of the little pranks. Maybe that's why you got left out of it. Crystal goes, okay, well, it's the first time then. You are a ridiculous person. I'm sorry. Sutton, being told I'm a ridiculous person wasn't the nicest thing. Crystal, I'm sorry. Sutton just glares at her. Crystal, move on. I said I'm sorry. Sutton, nice apology. Y'all, come on. I can't do this. Really. I gotta go to bed. Crystal's like, there's no moving forward. I'm done. Kyle says to Sutton, I'm telling you this right now as your friend. You are being overly sensitive. Hey, look at me. Pay attention to me. Yikes. Who left their bedroom door open on the first floor? Because I believe Smokey the Bear has just gotten in and has grabbed Sutton. So Rinna says to Erica or something, well, I believe you and I can go to bed. And Garcelle said, yeah, me too. Good night. Screen fades to black and we see 45 minutes later. Crystal's in her room on the phone with a friend. We can't see, her door is closed, but she's still mic'd. We hear her say, oh my God, like we went at it last night and tonight a little bit, but she is bad crazy. It's really sad. Meanwhile, in the living room, Kathy, but why did you kick Crystal? Thank you, Kathy. Sutton, I didn't kick anybody. Kyle's dying laughing. Kathy, oh, she kicked you? But just a little? She must really have long legs because she was all the way over there. Oh, Kathy. Oh, you know what? She does get Sutton to kind of crack a smile and laugh a little bit, though. And we cut back to Crystal's bedroom door. She's just really going after me. I'm like, okay, no loss for me. Cut back to the other ladies. Sutton is picking up Crystal's coat now. She left her coat here. And you know what I'm going to do? Bring it to her because that's what girlfriends do for girlfriends. And she puts it on a hanger and she's walking down the hall heading to Crystal's room. Cut to Crystal's voice, still on the phone. It's to an unhealthy level for her now. She's like losing her mind. Gets to the outside of the door. Knock, knock, knock. Crystal, are you up? Fade to black. To be continued. Oh boy. In spite of everything, in spite of the housewife and the hustler, in spite of my sweet, sweet Sutton going off the rails, I am really liking this season. I feel like Bravo did the impossible because last year we ended up with all the mean girls running Denise Richards out of town. It was ugly and not good. Not good. I mean, I think it was a good move to get rid of Teddy. You know, I like Lisa Rinna. I'm not sure if it's too much. It feels like her pot stirring is too obvious. You know, it feels like it's just another job for her. Creating conflict when there really isn't conflict. I think she's like taking it as she would be a job. That's what I mean by that. So I don't know about her. I'm glad Erica is still there. And by all accounts, she could use the money. So I kind of hope she doesn't get fired. I hope that we discover that Sutton has been going through something that's making her crazy, emotional, and sensitive. And Crystal, somebody wanted to know what my opinion of her was. She's coming after my sweet, sweet Sutton, and maybe that's what you guys are thinking, like I must hate her because of that. I don't hate her. And honestly, I think some of the stuff is justified. It's just that she's mean about it. Like, I understand her point of view, but she could be a little nicer about it or more diplomatic. The comments like, dude, what is wrong with you? Like, they kind of make me laugh, to be honest with you. Sorry. Even when they're directed at my sweet, sweet Sutton. So, yeah, whatever's happening, I think is kind of working. And also, I've said it before, I will say it again. I miss Denise Richards. I wish she were on the show. I like her. Even though I miss Denise Richards, I don't think she was cut out for this. She absolutely does not like the cattiness and the game playing that Rinna is there for. She did not make a good housewife. Probably a really good friend, but not a good housewife. So anyway, all right, that is it for this week. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And as always, I love to hear from you guys, so please leave a comment. I will see you for the next recap of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Bye.